For a small country, Australia arguably has produced more sporting champions than any other in the world. While gold, sheep and the mineral boom kept the pounds flowing in, it was undoubtedly our sportsmen and women who thrust Australia into the international spotlight. The incomparable Don Bradman and his all-conquering cricket team had blitzed England. Walter Lindrum knew no peer on the billiard table. Farlap took the United States by storm before dying in tragic circumstances, and a host of tennis players from Crawford through Bromwich and Quist to Sedgman, Rosewell and Hode had ruled the tennis courts before and after the last war. In the mid-50s, everything seemed to fall into place. It was the golden era of Australian sport, and it all began here at this magnificent stadium, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, in 1956. It was here that this great sporting nation came of age.
At 4:32 precisely on the afternoon of November the 22nd, 1956, the Olympic flame ended its 13,000-mile journey from Mount Olympus in Greece to the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Born by World Junior Mile record holder Ron Clark, it signified the beginning of Australia's greatest sporting moments.
I declare open the Olympic Games of Melbourne, celebrating the 16th Olympiad of the modern era.
Athletes converged on Melbourne from 68 nations around the globe for the first Olympiad ever staged in the Southern Hemisphere. They were the first Olympiad to be televised. They cost a staggering £8 million. But the games of the 16th Olympiad engendered a spirit never seen before or since. Australia went into the final of the men's 100 metres sprint with Heck Hogan facing overwhelming pressure from the favoured Americans.
We're going through to win it. It's a photo finish for the second and third. Here's Delaney on the outside.
Melbourne's world mile record holder John Landy went into the final of the 1500 metres under a cloud because of tendon troubles. He was at the back of the field as the runners surged into the straight, with Ron Delaney of Ireland leading Ritzenhain of Germany. But then, from nowhere, came Landy. His fast finish earned him a bronze medal, with Delaney taking the gold in a new Olympic record time of 3.41.2. In the distance events, it was to be a double for Russia's Vladimir Kutz. First, he set a new Olympic record in the 10,000 metres.
In this country, here he is, number 200, coming up towards the line, Kutz riding through to win the 10,000 metres. A great athlete, a great winner, and one of the most worthy of the gold medal in this 1956 Olympics.
Then he emulated the flying Finns Cole Mainen and Paavo Nurmi and Emil Zatopek of Czechoslovakia by adding the 5,000 metres gold in record time.
Just like a sprinter, lifting his arms a little higher, and here he goes through the tape.
In the Olympic pool, it was to be the dawn of Australian swimming. This was the final of the women's 100 metres freestyle, and watch for young Sydney girl Dawn Fraser in lane 4, alongside Lorraine Pratt closer to camera in lane 5. It was to be an all-Australian finish, with the first 5 women breaking the Olympic record, and Australia's Fraser, Crabb and Faith Leach taking the medals. But for Dawn Fraser, it was a history-making swim, the gold medal and a new Olympic and world record of 62 seconds. It was the first of a hat-trick of record-breaking Olympic performances from a girl who was to become the greatest swimmer the world has known. The final of the women's 4x100 relay was to be a showdown by the two swimming giants of women's swimming, Australia and the USA. Australia had smashed the world record prior to the Games, but after Dawn Fraser, Faith Leach and Sandra Morgan had completed their legs, it was left to Lorraine Pratt to kick away from America's Joan Rosazza. It was one of the most thrilling events of the Games, and once again, gold for Australia and a new world mark for the record books. This is how Bill Collins called the finish.
Leading by a half yard with only 20 metres to go, and Australia with Lorraine Pratt have got it won. They're a yard clear and only 10 yards to go, and Lorraine Pratt swimming beautifully takes Australia to another gold medal, wins by a yard from the United States of America.
The undoubted star for Australia in the men's events was the golden-haired boy, Murray Rose. The final of the men's 400 metres was the feature race on Tuesday, December the 4th, and Rose in lane 4 was favoured to take the gold medal. He had swum impressively in his heats, beating Yamanaka of Japan, and that was to be the order in the final. Rose first in a new Olympic record time of 4:27.3. He went on to win the distance double. Rose had established a new world mark for the 1500 earlier in 1956 and then went about setting a new Olympic record. Betty Cuthbert, a shy, modest 18-year-old from the Sydney suburb of Marylands, was the golden girl of the 56 Games. Betty Cuthbert, winner of the 100 metres and the first Australian to win a gold medal on native soil. The 200 metres was to be a repetition, with Cuthbert second from the outside, equaling the Olympic record of 23.4 seconds to win from Stupnik of Germany and Marley Matthews of Australia. Watch Cuthbert in slow motion as she powers away from the German girl with that long, striding and powerful arm action. And for the third successive Olympics, the sprint double had been completed by Fanny Blankers-Cowan in London, by Marjorie Jackson at Helsinki, and finally, Betty Cuthbert's. The Australian women dominated track events and were looking for a clean sweep in the 4x100 relay. Let Ron Casey take up the commentary.
Australia's getting away to a particularly good start, but already gaining on their opponents as they come up towards the first baton change. Germany on the left-hand side, followed then by Italy and then Australia. There's the first Australian baton change, and it's a good one. And already Australia are starting to make their presence felt as they have passed the Italian runners and going down towards the next baton change. Here's the next Australian baton change, a good one. Nice and confident, that one. And as they come around here, they turn into the straight with Marley Matthews, the change to Betty Cuthbert. Here's the change between Matthews and Cuthbert. And they head up for home with the German girl on the outside still holding the advantage, but Betty Cuthbert's running on strongly and gets past her and coming up towards the line. And Betty Cuthbert going to the line to win it from the German. Third place will probably go to Italy.
The year 1957 saw one of the most even competitions in VFL history, but on grand final day, Norm Smith Demons made it 3 in a row. The 1957 Melbourne Cup was one of the most controversial in history. The country was divided over a brilliant 3-year-old colt named Tulloch. Was the youngster too young to race the 2 miles? The decision was made by his owner, Mr. E.A. Haley, and the colt was scratched. With the Caulfield Cup winner and favourite out, Straight Draw, owned by Sydney newspaper magnate Ezra Norton, took the cup by a neck from Prince Darius. The 1957 Davis Cup Challenge round between Australia and the United States at Kooyong was missing some old faces. Lou Hurd had won Wimbledon that year and was Australian title holder. Ken Rosewall was defending US title holder. Together, they were the terrible twins of tennis. But in 1957, they turned professional. Australian captain Harry Hoffman turned to Ashley Cooper in the opening singles against Vexatious. It was a torrid 5-setter, with Cooper successful. This was match point. Queenslander Mal Anderson, making his Davis Cup debut, teamed with Mervyn Rose to win the doubles and then clinched the cup by defeating Barry McKay in another 5-setter. To Forest Hills in New York and Britain's Christine Truman serving to Althea Gibson. Miss Gibson, ranked #1 in the world, takes this point to give her the US title. It was an all-Australian final in the men's championships, with Davis Cup teammates Mal Anderson and Ashley Cooper on opposite sides of the net. Another 5-setter, with Cooper reversing the 1957 result. The big fight of 1958 was the Australian lightweight title bout between Aboriginal champion George Bracken and Maxi Carlos. These were the final seconds of the fight, held in Melbourne on July the 4th.
Only seconds is about to go. As they slug on the ropes, and Maxi Carlos is the winner!
One champion down and another to go. In September, Melbourne went into its 5th grand final in a row, red-hot favourite to beat bitter rival Collingwood. But it wasn't to be. The Magpies, under coach Fons Kine, stopped Melbourne's explosive ruck rover Ron Barassi and stopped the Demons' attempt to win a record-equalling 4th flag in a row. There was no stopping Australia's champion miler Herb Elliott. Paced by Delaney, Halberg, Lincoln and Thomas, Elliott shattered the world record in Dublin, clocking 3:54.5 in what many regard as his finest run. Ingemar Johansson was to fight world heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson 3 times in as many years. In this first bout at Yankee Stadium on June 26, Johansson took the title with a third-round knockout. At Wimbledon, Maria Bueno of Brazil took the women's title, conceding only one set along the way, and that to diminutive American Mimi Arnold in the third round. Miss Bueno serving to Darlene Hard for the championship. Seeded 6th, Miss Bueno won 6-4, 6-3, and accepted her trophy from Her Royal Highness, Princess Alexandra. In sweltering heat at Forest Hills, Rod Laver lost both his singles matches in the Davis Cup Challenge round against the Americans, setting the stage for Neil Fraser.
Fraser wins 8-6, 3-6, 6-2, and 6-4. Australia regains the Davis Cup.
Australia's sporting prestige was boosted, perhaps unexpectedly, when Royal Melbourne Golf Club played host for the 1959 Canada Cup, the forerunner of the World Cup. Record crowds and magnificent golf boosted the sport beyond all expectation. Peter Thompson joined forces with Kel Nagle to win the cup for the second time.
Out here, Skilton now has the danger man.
Bobby Skilton had finished third in the 1958 Brownlow medal count to St Kilda's Neil Roberts, and in 1959 had to survive another heartstopper. When the votes were tallied, he was tied on 20 with another Saint, fullback Vernon Howell, but the medal was his after a countback.
Nearly took his young Lambert's head off, but he passes it over to Bobby Skilton. Look at him, magnificent.
So much for Australia.
The world's longest-running sports show began in 1959 when Ron Casey introduced World of Sport. It was to become a Melbourne institution and as much a part of the weekend as Sunday lunch.
For Australian-type starting stalls.
Australia switched from pounds, shillings and pence to dollars and cents in the 60s. The rift between the amateurs and the pros became total war on the tennis courts of the world. The son of a French immigrant and an Aboriginal from Druin brought pride to their country with their boxing prowess. Dawn Fraser etched her name in gold into world and Olympic record books before controversy overtook her and ended a brilliant career. A massive world records acclaimed Ron Clark the greatest distance runner in the world, but failures in 2 Olympiads overshadowed them all. In far-off Scotland, Kel Nagle and Peter Thompson took on and beat the world's best golfers. Let's relive now some of the unforgettable moments of the decade.
31,000 people packed the Polo Grounds in New York to see Floyd Patterson attempt to win his heavyweight title back from Johansson. Patterson knocked the Swede out in the 5th round, becoming the first man to regain the heavyweight title. 1960 was an Olympic year, and we turned to Rome to watch some of Australia's finest sporting moments. Dawn Fraser had lowered the world mark in the 100 metres freestyle to 60.2 seconds in the lead-up to the Olympics, and many were hoping she'd become the first woman to break the magical minute. Dawn was never worried in the final as she won comfortably from Chris von Salzer of the United States, but her time of 61.2 was well outside her best. Her win set her as the only woman ever to win the 100 at successive Olympics. In the men's 100 metres freestyle, John Devitt of Australia won in one of the most controversial finishes ever seen. The cameras and electronically started stopwatches gave the result to Lance Larson of the USA, but the judges awarded the race and gold medal to Devitt. The ensuing protest was one of the longest in Olympic history. In the men's 1500, 18-year-old John Conrads won gold with beaters to spare. It wasn't quite as easy in the men's 100 metres sprint. Armin Hari of Germany, in the lane closest to the camera, had set a new Olympic record of 10.2 in the lead-up races with David Syme of the USA. And that's how they finished, with Hari first and Syme falling dramatically. A complete unknown wins an Olympic gold medal. That's news, and that's exactly what happened when Ethiopia's barefooted Abibi Bikila won the marathon in Rome. A member of Haile Selassie's imperial bodyguard, Bikila passed the Arch of Constantine into the Colosseum and legend. On the other hand, the world was waiting for Herb Elliott to win the 1500 metres, and he did so in style, demolishing a class field, the Olympic and world records. The greatest 1500-metre runner the world had seen, Elliott won all 45 of his races over that distance.
The highlight of satisfaction, if you like, wasn't when I hit the tape, as I've explained. That was relief. But a few minutes afterwards, when I went to the #1 spot on the victory rostrum, and I stood up there on #1 spot with the second and the third best in the world on both sides of me, and they played God Save the Queen, and I saw the Australian flag go up on the mast. That was tremendous. That made it all worthwhile, and it was a great feeling that I'm sure every Australian who's watching this program would feel the same emotions that I felt, being proud of being Australian being responsible for putting that flag up that I felt. That was the moment of winning, strangely enough, and that surprised me, but it was.
In the summer to come, victory didn't mean everything, as Australia found out when it played host to the West Indies on the cricket field. For the first time in cricket history, a test match was tied, with scores level after 4 innings. Alan Davidson captures the prize wicket of Garfield 7's, but the mood of the match was graphically caught in this famous photograph of Ron Lovett. John Schultz came down to Footscray from Boort in 1958, and within a handful of games was rucking for Victoria. In 1960, the blonde ruckman was rewarded for his magnificent and scrupulously fair work by winning the Brownlow medal.
And now for the first time on television in Australia, here is the last furlong and the head-on shot of the AJC Derby, which resulted in the 10-year disqualification for jockey Mel Shoemaker. In the last furlong of the AJ Derby, Emboss was in front, but shortly after, Blue Era had gone to the lead, and then Hill brought some affair up on the outside, and the pair settled down to fight it out, and they fought it out tooth and nail, with the Blue Era scoring by a nose, but lost the race on protest. Now for the head-on shots. To watch about 100 yards from the finish, and again about 50 yards from the finish. At the moment, you can see Emboss dropping out of it close to the rails. One out from the fence is Blue Era, and further out is Some Affair putting in his claim. Closely about here, you'll see Mel Shoemaker reach out there, and again there.
By 1961, Arnold Palmer was the undisputed king of world golf. He lost the Masters this year to Gary Player of South Africa, but within a year had regained that green jacket. A freckly-faced redhead from Rockhampton was assuming equal prominence in world tennis. Rod Laver had been beaten in the finals of Wimbledon in 1959 and 1960, but in the years to follow rarely lost to anyone. In 1961, he steered Australia to a 5-0 win in the Davis Cup Challenge Round Final against Italy at Melbourne's Kooyong Stadium. It was Australia's 10th win in 12 years. Success was to follow him to England, where this time he won the men's singles final at Wimbledon against Chuck McKinley of the United States in straight sets.
40. 50.
This is a big one. Quiet now.
And that's it.
While Labour was sewing up Wimbledon, Richie Benaud's tourists were retaining the Ashes in England and uncovering youngsters like Mackenzie and Laurie. After 7 successive grand finals, Melbourne was missing in 1961. 2 of the league's babies, Hawthorn under John Kennedy and Footscray, led by captain-coach Ted Whitten, did battle before 107,000 fans. The Hawks were sentimental favourites for their first premiership and didn't let their supporters down. Graham Arthur accepted the cup and Whitten's congratulations after a 43-point win.
In this corner, weighing 206.5 pounds, the challenger and former heavyweight champion of the world, Ingemar Johansson. In this corner, weighing 194 3/4 pounds, from Rockville Center, New York, the heavyweight champion of the world, Floyd Patterson.
We pick up the action in the 6th round.
And Johansson will serve. 8, 9, he is. The count of 10, ladies and gentlemen. Floyd Patterson is still the heavyweight champion of the world.
1962 saw England suffer a stunning 2-0 defeat against India and had critics calling for a new-look team. Ken Barrington handled the slow, turning wicket superbly, scoring 594 runs. But often, it appeared as though there was more action in the grandstands, and on a number of occasions, the police were called in. In 1962, Kilmore won the English Grand National at Aintree, ridden by Fred Winter, who was to later train Australia's great steeplechaser Crisp. What would a day at Flemington be like without fashions on the field? In 1962, these were the outfits that turned heads and had the women sighing in the first fashions on the field. Even Stevens came across the Tasman in style. He was amongst the first group of horses to be flown over by Qantas. He survived the ballot, won the Caulfield Cup at a canter, and joined that select group of horses to win the Melbourne Caulfield Cups double. Past winners formed a guard of honour for Geelong's Alastair Lord when he was presented with the Brownlow by the Governor Sir Dallas Brooks. The lad from Cobden won the medal by 9 votes, but in the years to come was rarely able to recapture that medal-winning magic. Wagga-born Arthur Breasley went to England in 1950 and became the most successful Australian jockey to ride in that country. Scobie was 4 times England's leading jockey, was to win 2 English derbies and a host of classics. By 1963, Margaret Smith was the world's top woman player. She won the first of her 3 Wimbledon titles, was Australian champion for the 4th time in a row, and won at Roland Garros and at Forest Hills. Over the next decade, she was to amass 85 major championships and become the finest tennis player this country has produced. Richie Benaud's Australians retained the Ashes by winning the 3rd test against England at Sydney and drawing the remaining 2 tests against Lord Ted Dexter's tourists. And for the first time in his illustrious cricket career, Alan Davidson did the hat-trick at first-class level. West Australian captain Barry Shepherd clean bowled. Parker clean bowled for another duck. And then War, brilliantly caught by Norman O'Neill at silly mid-off. Davidson finished with 5 for 40, New South Wales won the match, but Phil Laurie's Victorians won the Sheffield Shield. For Ian Metcalfe, there was no such jubilation. He was twice called for throwing, and his career came to an end after the first test against South Africa. Bobby Skilton became a dual Brownlow medalist, and in 7 years took his tally of votes past the 100 mark. Geelong revolutionised football in the early 60s with the emphasis on handball and acceleration. Against Hawthorn in the grand final, Bob Davis's Cats proved far too classy, and with Polly Farmer dominating, won by 49 points. Introducing Cassius Marcellus Clay.
Don't be surprised with nothing I do. I'll soon be in the movies. I'll cut records, I'll sing, I can fight, I can do anything. That's why I say I am the greatest. That's the name of the album, I Am the Greatest.
But, you know, a prize fighter is supposed to be a tough, rough
You're right, tough, rough, ugly.
Poets don't do that.
You're right. That's why I say I'm the greatest. I'm a poet, I'm a movie star, I'm an actor, I'm a fighter, and most of all, I'm pretty. Most fighters are ugly.
War cost Tokyo the pleasure of hosting the 1940 Olympics, but 24 years later, the Japanese city became the first Asian venue of the Olympiad. For everyone in Australia, Dawn Fraser was expected to provide the highlights, and how true those expectations turned out to be. 27-year-old Dawn Fraser had her training severely disrupted after injuring her neck in a car accident that killed her mother prior to the Games. Yet there she was in Tokyo, preparing to become the first woman swimmer in history to win the 100 meters freestyle at 3 Olympics. She'd become the first woman swimmer to break the minute in her heat, and in the final surged straight to the lead. Dawn amazed the crowd at the turn when she opted for a slow open turn instead of a tumble turn. Yet, as she said later, she was just out to win. And when she did, equaling her Olympic and world record of 59.9 seconds and engraving her name into swimming legend. It was to be publicity of another kind that greeted her later in the Games when she souvenired a flag at the Imperial Palace and was subsequently suspended for 10 years by the Australian Swimming Union. Bob Windle was the world record holder over 220 yards, but was a shock elimination in the 400 freestyle. He made up for it with a superb gold medal winning performance over 1,500 meters, creating yet another Olympic record. From 6th place in Rome to gold in Tokyo, that was the rise to fame for butterfly champion Kevin Berry. Berry had looked far from impressive winning his heat in the 200 meters butterfly, but in the final, Berry flew. He turned in 60.4 for the 100 and covered the final 100 in 66.2 to set a new world and Olympic mark of 2:06.6. Abebe Bikila wore shoes in Tokyo and recorded a staggering victory in the marathon. The Ethiopian became the first man in Olympic history to win the event at successive games and set a new world record on the way. The golden girl of the Melbourne Games came back after 8 years with her sights set on gold in the 400 metres. Betty Cuthbert became the first woman to win this new Olympic event, adding to a magnificent record. She'd been beaten in her semi-final by Anne Packer of Great Britain, but no one took that performance seriously. In the final, she got away to a great start, and with the wind behind her in the straight, coasted home to win by a metre from Packer and another Australian, Judy Moore. Cuthbert, in lane 2, adds the 400 metres gold to the medal she'd received at Melbourne for winning the 100, 200, and for her part in the world record-breaking 4x100 relay.
Now Better's doing it fine. It's touch and go to the line. 30 metres to go. Betty Cuthbert might get a 4th gold medal. By God, she's going to win it. Betty Cuthbert gets there from Anne Packer of Great Britain, and Judy Moore of Australia was 3rd. Fabulous moment for Australia in the Olympic Games.
'64 saw the Demons and the Magpies in a thrilling battle for the VFL Premiership. Big Ray Gabelick had the MCG shaking when he thundered into goal for Collingwood in the dying minutes of the grand final. The Magpie skipper put his side ahead with his solo performance, and it appeared to the Collingwood fans and Gabelick the flag was theirs. But then, they had to sit back and watch Melbourne back pocket Neil Crompton steal the game and the cup with a goal minutes before the side. Victory to the Demons by a mere... The 1965 Indianapolis 500 was to be one of the most incident-packed races since the Classic's inception in 1911. And this wasn't even the race, just the practice laps. When the race did get underway and the wreckage was cleared from the track, Jim Clark of Scotland in his Ford-powered Lotus was expected to be the man to beat.
Pins out. The checkered flag for Jim Clark.
England visited Australia in 1965 and met for the first time a youngster named Doug Walters. Walters scored centuries in his first 2 tests. In 1965, Kel Nagle tied in first place with Gary Player for the US Open. He was to lose the playoff to the South African by 3 strokes, narrowly missing the opportunity to become the first Australian to win the event. Over 7 remarkable years, from 1952 until 1958, Peter Thomson either won or finished runner-up in the British Open. In 1965, he returned to Royal Birkdale and won his 5th Open. Easily the most accomplished golfer Australia has produced, Thomson returned to his beloved Victoria Golf Club to talk with Sandy Roberts.
Peter, you were the first Australian to break the British Open, and you went on to win 5 of them. What was the feeling in that first win after you'd made the final putt?
Sheer delight and joy. But I was a very arrogant young man in those days, and I had a feeling that it was going to happen, and I was feeling a bit smug about it, I think.
Was there a sense of relief?
Oh, no, nothing like that. I had set my ambition on doing it, and as the events unfolded, it began to look more and more likely, at least to me. And I wasn't, as I say, I was very arrogant and smug about it. I thought it was almost automatic, but I learned later on, of course, it wasn't. But that first one, I remember well that like everybody else, I suppose, in the history of sport, I stood on the shoulders of the people who came before me. And it was Norman von Nyder, really, who he never won the British Open. He played in a number of them, and he didn't win it. But in a way, he helped me to win it by at least introducing me to winning it.
After demolishing Sonny Liston, Cassius Clay, the new heavyweight champion of the world, turned his attention to former title holder Floyd Patterson in November and took 12 rounds to put him onto the canvas.
Rooney pouring in, and Gattalari pokes out a left that misses by a foot. So there's another right and left hand from Gattalari, and Gattalari's down.
Rocky Gattalari found the going tough when he tangled with world bantamweight champ Sal Baruni at the Sydney Showgrounds a few days later. In a span of 4 years, Ron Clark broke 17 world distance records and at one stage held every record from 3 miles to 1 hour. Yet in Olympics, he was never to win gold nor produce the dazzling times that made him world famous. At Wimbledon in 1965, Australians came close to a clean sweep, with Roy Emerson winning the singles and for the 3rd time in a row thwarting countryman Fred Stolley's hopes of the world's most prestigious tennis title. Emerson emulated Laver and Ho by winning successive titles, both times against the hapless Stolley. St Kilda's Tasmanian centreman Ian Stewart won the Brownlow on a countback from Noel Teasdale, the first of 3. St Kilda's good fortunes weren't to continue into the grand final against John Coleman's Essendon. Aiming at their first premiership, the Saints were outclassed. They couldn't stop Ted Fordham, who kicked a record-equalling 7 goals and were to go down by 35 points. Skipper Ken Fraser played a brilliant game at centre-half forward to give the Bombers their 2nd premiership in 4 years. For Darryl Baldock and his Saints, success was just around the corner. He was as thin as a reed, yet St Kilda wingman Ian Cooper could fly with the best. That was the mark of the year.
Matlock, oh, there's a fall in the cup. There's 2 or 3 down. There's horses everywhere. River Seine is one, I think. Boarhead's another one. Matlock's gone. Matlock's the other one that fell. They come down past the 4 1/2. Yanksy in front. Jovial Knight tackling it for the lead. Zingale 3 wide. Tobin Bronze in on the fence from Prince Grant. They were followed by Zima at the head of the others. Strauss trying to push through. Then Light Fingers, Prince Camilo coming around them on the outside. As they swing around the corner now and sail away, pulled away from the fence. The leader into the straight, Yanksy. Tobin Bronze has tackled him from Zingale, Prince Grant. Here's Zima getting through with Midlander. Sail away under the whip. And then Prince Camilo and Red William. At the 2, it's Yanksy in front, tackled by Tobin Bronze. Here comes Zima and Light Fingers on the outside, joining in from Midlander and Prince Grant. 1.5 furlongs to go, and Zima's hit the front. Light Fingers under the whip, trying to run him down from Yanksy, Midlander, and then Tobin Bronze and Prince Grant. It's Zima in front. Light Fingers throwing out a desperate challenge. Zima about a neck in front. Light Fingers pegging him back. Light Fingers goes to Zima. They hit the line, locked together. Dead heat. A dead heat in the Melbourne Cup. Zima
the camera managed to separate them, and Light Fingers, written by Roy Higgins, got the nod by a short half head. In the early 60s, a podgy youngster named Jack Nicklaus burst onto the international golfing scene. In 1966, he went to Beorfield and added the British Open to an impressive list of Grand Slam events that had already fallen to him. The first World Bowls Championships were staged at Kaima in Sydney, and the Australian team, captained by John Dobie, celebrated by winning the Leonard Trophy as the overall winner. Australia retained the Ashes by defeating England in Adelaide, an effort made possible by a superb opening stand of 244 by skipper Bobby Simpson and Victorian captain Bill Lawrie. Simpson made 225, Lawrie 119. Mackenzie and Hawke shared the wickets, and Australia won by an innings and 9 runs with a day to spare. Later in the year, Simpson took his team to South Africa, and this was the scene at Johannesburg when Australia lost by 233 runs. It was South Africa's first victory over Australia in 64 years of competition. TV Ringside made its debut on the 7 network in the mid-60s, and these were some of the great moments that fascinated the Fistic fanatics.
Scott's been battered about a bit, and he shows quite a few of these. Finally stopped him as the referee doesn't count. The end of the fight.
Round 6. Here goes Mahanga. Left hook, and down goes. Oh, a beautiful left hook. Down goes Manila. No doubt, he's out. 8, 9, he's out. Left hook by Mahanga. And Mahanga wins by a knockout in the 6th round.
This is a close one, mate. This is a close one. I told you.
The referee declares it a draw. Raymond's in top again. I think the referee's going to stop it. Sharky Raymond is the
terrific right hand. There'll be a reprimand there for
yes, that was a very bad one, Ron. He did it again. He's disqualified for bunting. Disqualified for bunting.
Hello there.
Scobie Breesley was the most successful jockey in England in the early 60s and followed up his win on Santa Claus in the 1964 Epsom Derby with a win on Charlottetown 2 years later. Breesley was to ride 2,161 winners in a magnificent career before retiring after the 1968 season. On the home scene, top trainer Bart Cummings was dominating the cup scene. Bill Collins takes up the call.
Narrowly from a Venium on the rails, but Galilee has grabbed them on the outside with Duo in the centre. Galilee strides to the front 100 yards from home and comes right away in the run to the post. A great win to Galilee, scoring by 2 lengths officially from Light Fingers. A close third Duo, a length away fourth in the race was a Venium, followed by Gala.
After winning the World Drivers' Championship in 1959 and 1966, Jack Brabham became the first man to win the championship in a car designed and constructed by him. His third win was highlighted by victories in the French, British, Dutch and German Grand Prix. At Indianapolis, disaster struck before the cars were out of the straight for the first time. 16 cars were involved in the pileup, with 11 of them too damaged to continue. It wasn't only pieces of wreckage that flew into the crowd. If you look closely at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see top driver A.J. Foyt climbing the high protective fence in his bid to get into the crowd and to safety. Like Bunton and Reynolds before him, Stewie made it 2 in a row when he won the Brownlow in 1966. The brilliant centreman could handle the wet conditions or mark over much taller opponents, and his outstanding play was to help St Kilda move into the grand final again.
Look at this right into the arm. Stewart! A beauty! Oh, these players are so...
While St Kilda boasted players of exceptional talent, it was to be a youngster named Barry Breen and a wobbly old punt kick that was to give the club its much sought-after flag. The Saints had been waiting for 70 years to win the premiership, and then it was only by that solitary point.
St Kilda in front. 28 and a half minutes gone. Hit the boundary line. 28 and a half gone. There's Murray's kick to the wing position on the outer side. St Kilda have won it. They've won it. Look at this. Look at Alan James. Alan James. Oh, what an emotional...
Left by Rose.
A young Aboriginal boy from the Victorian country town of Drua was beginning to make his mark in the boxing world. Lionel Rose had won the Australian bantamweight title in 1966 and gave Rocky Gattalari a crack at it in 1967 at Sydney. It's the 13th round, and Ron Casey is at ringside.
In he goes again, jabbing that left hand. He hit that time Gattalari right between the eyes. And Rose is going to put some pressure on the challenger in this 13th round. A beautiful right, and Gattalari's down. A perfect right hand. Count is 5, 6, 7, 8. He's up at 8. And the referee tells Rose he must go back to the neutral corner. The count is 9 and box on. And there's 2 minutes to go in the 13th round. And again, challenger driving desperately to hold on to Lionel Rose. Left hook there, but Gattalari's got nothing, but he's fighting hard, and he's undoubted and magnificent courage to keep him on his rocky feet. It's a left by Rose, a right by Rose. He goes for an uppercut, a hook by Rose, uppercut by Rose. Gattalari's hit again, and he's right down, and I think that'll be the end of the fight. The referee stopped the fight with Gattalari knocked right out. And Jack Rennie grabs Lionel Rose over here in the corner. It's Gattalari. He's knocked right out at the moment.
And what a year it was on the racing scene.
Half to go, and it looks like Australia Day again at Epsom as Royal Palace and George Moore go right away. Out wide, Roboco's putting in a challenge, and in the white colours, Dartboard is running on well for Scobie Breesley, but Royal Palace has got the race won as he charges past the million crowd down the straight, and in the run to the post, Royal Palace scores well. Roboco out wide on the track will battle on to be second in the derby, and Dartboard gets third placing in the event. Dagobah, the the leader at the moment, but coming through in the centre of the hoops is Bill Pyers on the outside of Top Yo. Salvo's finishing fast in Rabocco, but Top Yo, ridden by Australian Billy Powers, goes down to the line to take out the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. These 9-10 is clear 100 yards out. Red-handed starting to bridge the gap. Johnson riding desperately hands and heels. Red-handed gradually getting to him, but Tobin Bronze is too good, and he wins the Caulfield Cup about a neck to red-handed from Garson.
This dramatic film was taken as England's top cyclist, Tommy Simpson, was near to death. Simpson collapsed during the Tour de France, and medical evidence was offered later that he'd been taking drugs to improve his performance. Backmarker Bill Howard had won the Stall gift in 1966 and was back there again the following year attempting to create professional foot running history. No man had won Stall twice since the race began back in 1878. Watch Howard, furthest from camera, make a lunge at the tape to take the 1967 gift and put himself into the history books. Peter Thompson continued to dominate golf and took the Australian title again at the Commonwealth Club in Melbourne. Lancashire-born Derek Clayton emigrated to Australia in 1963 and by 1967 was national marathon champion. He gave the world notice of his ability when he won the Fukuoka Marathon in Japan in 1967. John Newcombe, minus that famous moustache, took the Wimbledon singles crown, defeating Willem Bungert and conceding only 5 games in the final. League captains did a lap of honour with St Kilda's Ross Smith, the third Saint in a row to win the Brownlow. Richmond and Geelong's 1967 Grand Final will be remembered as one of the finest ever played. Let's look at this classic mark of Royce Hart's again. The mark over Geelong's Peter Walker was Mark of the Year and a highlight of the Grand Final. Hart was one of a bunch of talented youngsters like Francis Burke, Dick Clay, Barry Richardson and Mike Green, who had joined the Tigers under Tom Hafey in the mid-60s. They were to beat the Cats by 9 points and begin one of football's golden eras.
Polinelli picks up, he tries a long one.
On February 27th, Lionel Rose was in Tokyo challenging Fighting Harada for the world bantamweight title. Ron Casey was at ringside.
Left and left to the body by Harada. Right to the body by Harada. Rose is back on the road, swapping punches with the champion. Come on, Lionel. There's the call from the Australians. Left hand jab by Rose as Lionel does come on. Right to the body now by Rose. Jab by Harada. A lead by Harada. Left hook by Rose now. Jab by Rose again, and Harada missing with his right hand. Trying desperately to catch Rose with one of those hard right-hand swings. Short right to the head by Rose. Rose misses with the left hook, but he's back very quickly with a left-hand jab. Left and right to the body by Rose. And once again, as the bell goes for the end of the World Championship, the great athletes embrace each other. They go to the corner to wait for the decision, which will come from the judge and from the referee and from 2 judges.
When the scorecards were tallied, 7,000 Japanese in the stadium and boxing fans throughout Australia acclaimed the boy from Druin, the new bantamweight champion of the world. The altitude of Mexico City was to take its toll in the 1968 Olympics, but in the 800 metres, Australia's Ralph Dubell took on and beat the favoured Kenyans.
Can he catch him this time? 150 metres to go. Kipragat, Dubell after him. Dubell has a withering finishing burst, but can he do it this time? 80 minutes to go, 80 metres, and it's still Dubell coming up on Kipragat. It could be a gold medal for Australia. Here goes Dubell. It's going to be a gold medal for Australia. Dubell is going to beat Kipragat. A magnificent performance by Ralph Dubell of Australia. A gold medal to Australia from Kipragat of Kenya, and finishing in 3rd place was Tom Farrell of the United States.
A young Melbourne lass named Raylene Boyle made her Olympic debut in the 200 metres.
Boyle and Kirsten Steen on the left. Raylene Boyle is running in beautiful stride, so too is Jenny Lammy. They hit the straight any moment from now, and the 2 Australian girls are doing very, very well indeed. There could be a big upset here. It could be a gold medal for Australia. Look at Raylene Boyle taking it away from Jenny Lammy. The threat comes from Kirsten Steen of Poland. Can Raylene Boyle get up there and hold off the world record holder? No, Irena Kirsten Steen wins, and I think the Australian girl Raylene Boyle got 2nd.
In the men's swimming sprints, Michael Wendon took on and beat the best the world had to offer, and did so in record time.
Wendon can't see him. Now Wendon coming up the hill, coming at Zorn. Zorn has a lead of about half a length. Wyndham lifting himself out of the water. The last 25 metres will tell. But here comes Wyndham at Zorn, and over in lane 1. Walsh of the United States is going well. But now Wyndham's in front. He's gone past Zorn. Here's Michael Wyndham speeding towards the line. Walsh is the main danger. It's Wyndham and Walsh. Walsh in 1, Wyndham in 4. But I'd say Michael Wyndham's got this. It's Michael Wyndham first, I'd say. Wyndham first. A world record. 52.2. A world record.
The rarefied air led to records galore, but few were as impressive as American long jumper Bob Beamon. In one jump, he became the first man ever to clear 28 feet and 29 feet. As one man said, he just went into orbit. A new term entered athletics, the Fosbury flop, and this was Dick Fosbury of the USA on the way to a new Olympic record of 7 feet 4 1/4 inches with that incredible flip.
It's going to be
in the 100 metres butterfly, Lynn McClements gathered more gold for Australia.
McClements is still in front though. McClements and Daniel 5 metres to go. It could be a gold medal to Australia. McClements is still in front. Daniel's coming fast out. McClements might make it. McClements first. McClements first, I'd say. Yes, McClements first. A gold medal to Australia.
The warring factions in world tennis signed a peace treaty, and open tennis became reality at Wimbledon. Rod Laver took up where he left off 5 years earlier, beating Arthur Ashe in the history-making final. It was Laver's third win in as many attempts. And at home, it was Rain Lover and Jimmy Johnson on Melbourne Cup Day.
South Australian going right on with the job is well clear. Rain Lover at 7-1 gives Jimmy Johnson his second Melbourne Cup win. Fuller second at 20s, Fans third at 12-1 from Lowland, Savoy, Arctic Coast, Nanotale, Galilee.
But in comes Skilton.
Bobby Skilton polled a record 180 Brownlow votes over his 237-game career, and in 1968 joined Bunton and Reynolds as a triple medalist. He'd dominated the game for more than a decade, but had yet to make a finals appearance.
Skilton in there, trying to snap it up. He's in trouble, tackled by Dickrich, gets it over here in the 68 grand final.
Ron Barassi left Melbourne after the 1964 season, and in a blaze of publicity took over as coach of Carlton. Within 4 years, the Blues were in the grand final against Essendon.
Siren's gone! The siren's gone, has it? Yes! Look at this! We couldn't hear the siren. Carlton are premiers. 8-5, 53 Essendon, Carlton 7-14, 56. Carlton are premiers. And look at this. Look at it. 21 years since a premiership.
Lionel Rose defended his world title against Chuchu Castillo and did it the hard way.
A hard left hook, and he gets it, just missed the jaw of Castillo. A hard right hand by Castillo, and Lionel Rose is down. 4, 5, 6. He is up. He looks all right. He was up at the count of 3. Referee Dick Young has checked him. A hard right hand by Chucho Castillo put him down. The place has gone wild. Rose moves inside, hook to left of the body. Castillo hard right off the side of the head. Crowds Rose into the rope. Right over the right hand that misses. Castillo trying to put him away. We have 2 minutes. We have about 25 seconds to go in the 10th round. Castillo hammering Rose on the rope. A hard left hook, a right to the body, a left and a right to the head by Rose. Rose is fighting back very strongly. Castillo scores with a hard right to the jaw, another hard left and a right to the head, a hard right to the head by Rose. And Castillo hammers a right to the body, another left and a right to the body, a hard left to the head by Castillo at the bell. Beats the challenger to the punch with a short left and right to the head. Castillo looks a little bit tired now. Both men have got to be tired. Lionel Rose scores with a good left hand to the head. Inside they both miss with left and right combinations to the body. And Lionel Rose bounces back into the rope. The crowd up cheering, trying to exhort each man to stay all the way full bore to the very end of it. And we have come to the end of the fight. Lionel Rose of Australia defending the World Bantamweight Championship against the challenge of Chucho Castillo of Mexico City. Rose has retained his Bantamweight Championship.
In January, Johnny Famechon flew to London to fight Jose Legra for the world featherweight title.
There's a minute to go. And Famechon is the one who's punching strongly and hard. And Famechon is winning this last round. He's winning it. It's definitely Famechon on top now in the last half minute. Less than 20 seconds to go. Ten seconds. There's the bell. What a title fight it was.
Scotty Famechon is champion of the world. Scotty Famechon is champion of the world. The referee's decision is to Scotty Famechon. He is champion of the world. The featherweight champion. They're in the ring and they're embracing him. Oh, the Albert Hall has gone berserk as they stand here and cheer and cheer. And Scotty Famechon popped back in the corner. A magnificent effort. Scotty Famechon has won the featherweight championship of the world.
Famo returned to Melbourne and a hero's reception. His victory over the hotly favoured Legra may have surprised the crowds at London's Albert Hall, but it came as little shock to the fans who'd watched Famechon's rise in the game.
Famo, beating Legra, what's the feeling like? What was the feeling like in your mind and in your body when the arm was raised? Did you realise then you were champion of the world?
Oh, I knew that then we'd won the fight. We knew very well, and from the 10th round it was very hard going because we felt at that time that Legra was starting to weaken. And from that moment on, between the rounds, Ambrose Palmer was urging me to go harder and harder to secure those points. And of course, when the final bell rang and the referee raised my arm up, all hell broke loose in the hall. It was certainly something else. It's very difficult to explain the sensation that runs through the body when something like that happens, knowing in fact that what you've been waiting for over the years, and in this case 8 years of constant slugging, was really a very big moment.
Vane simply annihilated the field in the 1969 Golden Slipper at Rose Hill, and the superb sprinting machine went on to win 12 races from 14 starts before a training injury hastened his retirement to stud. Jeff Hunt began his domination of the world's top squash events when he won the first of a string of British Opens. And Rod Laver continued to win at Wimbledon. His victory over John Newcombe was the highlight of a year that saw him take out the Grand Slam for the second time. Lionel Rose celebrated the first anniversary of his world title by defending against Britain's Alan Rudkin.
Pours everything into a last round, and he hits with the last punch of the fight, a right hand on Rose's chin. And there is the bell for the end of the fight. Stand by for the decision, but a terrific last round.
Patrick, the referee, scored it 70 to 63. Rose. Judge Ray Mitchell scored 75-60. Rose.
Rose is still the champion of the world.
And Golden.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome champion of the world, Lionel Rose.
Pick me up on your way down. You were mine for just a while. Now you're putting on the style. And you never once looked back at your home across the track. You're the gossip of the town, but my heart can still be found where you tossed it on the ground. Pick me up on your way down. Pick me up on your way down when you're blue and all alone. When the glamour starts to bore you, come on back where you belong. You may be their pride and joy, but there another toy. Then they'll take away your crown, pick me up on your way down.
Johnny Famechon, meantime, was collecting a few hits of his own in a world title defence against Fighting Harada.
Hits him with a left hook, and he's down. Harada's grabbed him by the leg. But I think the referee will put a count on him. Yes, it was a clean knockdown. Yes, a knockdown. Harada trying a left hook. Famechon shows him how to do it. A beautiful left hook. And Harada falls into a clinch. That stung. That really stung, that left hook. He makes Harada miss with left and rights now. Beautiful evasion by Famechon as he skips away. And behind the points of round 6 would go to Johnny Famechon. A left-hand jab by Famechon right between the eyes that time. Up comes Harada. Famechon down with a terrific right hand. Famechon's up, and the referee's putting the count on him. All right, says the referee. Signal box on Harada. Rushes in, throws the right hand. Famechon defending desperately. Now, that was a linking right hand. Famechon's in a daze, ducking and weaving. Around the ring goes Famechon, a right to the head by Harada. He goes in after Famechon, hits Famechon with another big right hand to the head. Another right to the head by Harada. Right to the head by Famechon. For the end of the 14. A right to the head now by Famechon. Hard right by Harada, left by Famechon. The jab by Harada. Right hand, and Famechon's down. A terrific right hand. He's down, he smiles rather limply across at the corner. The count of 8. Famechon's in real trouble. But the bell due to go. It's a left to the head. There goes the bell. Getting close to the referee's decision. How does referee Willie Pep score the fight? We'll know in just a few seconds. Referee levers them away once more. Famechon bleeding from the nose now. And the referee gets them away once more. Here comes the decision. It's a left and right into the body by Harada. Pushed Famechon back into the corner. Laying in there on him. And here comes the bell. And a draw. The referee has made it a draw. And Johnny Famechon is still the featherweight champion of the world.
It was the year of the Big Faloo protest in the Caulfield Cup. The Cummings-trained, Higgins-ridden favourite won the race on protest. In the sensation of the year, Big Faloo was scratched by order of stewards after being nobbled, and the Melbourne Cup went to Rainlover for the 2nd year in a row. 31-year-old Kevin Murray remains the oldest winner of the Brownlow and one of the most popular. His acceptance speech was perhaps the longest and most memorable in the medal's history. Richmond had missed the finals in 1968, but were back and firing against reigning premiers Carlton. The Blues led by 4 points at three-quarter time, but didn't add a goal in the last term.
And the final scoreboard reads Carlton 8, 12, 16, Richmond 12, 13, 85.
Doug Wade kicked 127 goals and provided the mark of the year in 1969. Johnny Famechon went to Tokyo in 1970 to give Fighting Harada another chance at the title and came home victorious. His fight with Vincente Saldivar in Rome produced one of the most controversial decisions of the decade.
And there's a good left hand from Saldivar. Another left hand by Saldivar. Hard jolting punch. Right to the head now by Saldivar. Seconds to go. Left hook now by Famechon. Saldivar moving up with the right hand jab again, and Famechon away from that left hand. Saldivar after Famechon again, but Famechon jabs the left hand. In close now. Hard clean clear. That's all I raise the bell for the end of the round. Stand by now.
Well, I'd give that final round to Famechon, and I'd give him a clear lead of 2 points at the end of 15 rounds. And so I believe Famechon will retain his world title.
Famo returned to Melbourne after the fight to hang up his gloves on a glorious career. South finally made the finals in 1970, and for Peter Bedford, the club's outstanding centre-man, it was a dual celebration. He won the Brownlow by 4 votes from Footscray's Gary Dempsey.
Jones is here.
When blonde-haired reserve Teddy Hopkins was thrown into the grand final fray by coach Ron Barassi, Carlton trailed Collingwood by 44 points. Hopkins kicked 4 goals in the second half, and the Blues recorded one of the greatest comebacks in VFL history to take their 2nd flag in 3 years.
Here comes Jesselenko. Jesselenko, a left footer. There's nobody there. Look at this. It's bounced through. There's the kick now down to the half-forward flank.
A mark to Gallagher. There's a siren. Melbourne are premiers, and look at Wanderers. He's surrounded. Melbourne are premiers, and our commiserations to Bob Rose of Collingwood. To the wing position.
This was the classic mark of Alex Jezelenko. Newcombe made up for his loss to Labour the previous year when he confronted the ageless Ken Rosewall in the Wimbledon men's singles final. Rosewall had been beaten for the title by Drobny and Hode in the mid-50s, but still showed his amazing class by taking Newcombe to 5 sets. For Newcombe, it was the beginning of a marvellous decade, but sport had its ups and downs. A West Australian horse named Mount Eden rewrote trotting record books with this miracle mile.
54, 55, 57, 58. He's going to do it. He's there. He's done it. He's broken 2 minutes.
For the first time in boxing, 2 undefeated heavyweight champions slugged it out. Joe Frazier put Muhammad Ali down and won a unanimous 15-round decision to become undisputed champion of the world. A girl named Yvonne Goolagong won the Hearts and the title at Wimbledon. And John Snow made his mark on the Tour of Australia when he felled tail-ender Terry Jenner.
In the air, it may have hit him on the head or the bat. Now, what happened there, I think it may have been
Hit him
bat.
on the head.
Well, it may have been off the bat too, by the way. Somebody ran for it. Well, it hit him on the head, certainly, but he didn't really know what to do about that.
No, it hit him on the back of the head, and it looks as though it might have hurt him because Snow's waving the attendant on. That's most unfortunate.
On the field, umpire Rowan having a word to Illingworth, and now talking to umpire Brooks. Illingworth gesturing to the umpire. There appears to be an argument going on out here.
Snow's reception by the Sydney crowd was equally fiery.
Dragging that to the fence now.
There's a tug of war going on there.
Now the English players are coming right down to the boundary. There are 4 or 5 of them there with Snow. And one man on the fence is grabbing hold of the Snow, and this is not a very good scene. A policeman has come down to the fence too. Illingworth at the moment is intending to walk off the field. He's called his team off the field. Now, what happens here under the laws of the game, we don't know.
In Perth later in the year, Dennis Lilly began a phenomenal career.
Caught, yes, a magnificent catch by Stackpole. A superb catch by Stackpole. Lilly bowling to Sabres. Caught. Yes, he's out. Caught by Marsh. And Sabres is out for a duck. Could be caught. He's going to be caught. Yes, Sheehan has caught him. Cunis facing Lilly. Caught. He's out. Caught by Stackpole. Lilly bowling to Hutton. Could be caught. He's out. He's caught. And that was very close to the edge. He's out. He's caught. Dennis Lilly has finished with the amazing figures of 8 for 29 from 7.1 overs.
While Lilly was bursting onto the sports scene, Ian Stewart changed clubs and became the fourth man to win 3 Brownlows, this time with Richmond. The most prolific goal scorer in recent history, Peter Hudson, was aiming at goal number 151 for the season and a new VFL record. His kick skewed off target and the Hawk champion full forward was shattered. For Hawthorn, it was to be Premiership number 2 and the beginning of a glorious decade.
It's a long quarter, this one. Judson takes his kick, goes to the flank position on the outer side. The sun comes out as the ball hits the ground and Heath sends it back to the wing position. Siren goes! Siren goes! Hawthorn are premiers, 1971.
Of the high flyers, none flew more majestically than Peter Knights. Exactly 36 years after Adolf Hitler and the Berlin Games, Germany again played host to the Olympics, this time in the charming and beautiful city of Munich. The Games began in controversy when black African countries demanded the expulsion of Rhodesia because of its apartheid policies. For Australians, Shane Gould pushed politics off the front page with a string of record-breaking gold medal swims. Shane was dubbed Queen of the Pool after winning gold in the 200 and 400 metres freestyle and the 200 individual medley. The 15-year-old Sydney schoolgirl became one of the most familiar sights to television viewers around the world as she stood on the victory dais clutching her kangaroo mascot. Brash and confident, American Mark Spitz had gone to Mexico City 4 years earlier, assuring everyone that he'd win gold. He failed. At Munich, however, he won 7 gold medals to record one of the most amazing individual performances in history. Talk of gold came to an end on September the 5th with the outrage of Block 31. The spirit of the Olympics that the Germans had tried so desperately to engender was shattered when 8 Arab guerrillas moved into the loosely guarded Olympic village. They moved straight to Connolly-Strasse and the headquarters of the Israeli team. Wrestling coach Moshe Weinberg was shot, and the world watched in horror as one of the terrorists moved freely on the balcony of the Israeli units. Negotiations between the terrorists and the German government for the release of 10 athletes held hostage continued until finally they were transported to Fürstenfeldbruck, where a commercial airliner stood ready. 5 German sharpshooters failed in their attempt to kill the Arabs, and the helicopter in which the hostages were held was blown to pieces. There were no survivors, and the future of the Olympic Games hung in jeopardy.
The Games must go on.
The Games did go on, and Australia's Beverly Whitfield stunned the world in the 200 metres breaststroke.
Whitfield's coming on, and Whitfield will win it. Whitfield first. A gold medal to Australia. A brilliant gold medal to Beverly Whitfield. She flew down that last step. She can't believe it. Look at the time.
Shane Gould continued on her golden way in the 400 metres.
Second, but here's Shane Gould. It's 4:15. It must be a world record. 4:16, 4:17, 4:18, 4:18 plus a world record. Look at this.
And Gail Neal provided a boilover in the women's 400 metres individual medley.
The world record is definitely on, and Gail Neal's finishing very fast. It's Gail Neal or Leslie Tiff, and look at Novella Calagara on the far side, but Gail Neal's in front. Gail Neal could win. Gail Neal's in front again, and it's lane 7 for Australia. She's just 6 inches in front. 10 yards to go. Gail Neal may do it. It could be a world. Yes, Gail Neal, and it's a world record. 5:2.97, and Gail Neal has set a new world record. Leslie Tiff 5:3.57. Cooper and DeMont.
The final margin in the men's 400 freestyle showed American Rick DeMont victorious by 1/1000th of a second. But a positive dope test cost the American victory, and Australia's Brad Cooper was awarded the race.
Cooper has tremendous courage. DeMont just in front is straight to the line. A tremendous 400 metres. A touch will do this. Cooper's going at it. DeMont's just in front. Here they go, and it's won by Cooper. No, DeMont got it. DeMont got it, I think. Yes, DeMont got it by 0.01 of a second. 0.01 of a second.
In the men's distance double, Finland's Lasse Beren emulated the feats of countrymen Paavo Murni, Ritola and Kolmanen by winning the 5,000 and 10,000 metres.
Boyle coming through beautifully, and so is Stecher.
It was to be successive silver medals for Raylene Boyle in the 200-metre sprint.
Stecher leads into the straight, followed by Boyle and Zawinska. Can Raylene Boyle catch Stecher? She's coming at her, 40 metres out. Boyle started to overhaul it, but I don't think she's going to make it. Stecher's holding on to win by a very narrow margin. It's Stecher first. Second place goes to Raylene Boyle, and third to Zawinska.
Up at Kiel in the North Sea, Australian yachtsmen produced their best effort, winning gold in the Star and Dragon classes. For Bob Massey, a 15-wicket haul in his Test debut at Lord's was to highlight his brief career.
Massey to D'Oliveira. Massey to Gregg. Massey to Knott. Massey to Illingworth. And Australia holding those slips catches. And on the very next ball, it was Massey to Snow. And then Massey to Smith, who'd made 30 and was England's top scorer. England's last two batsmen, Gifford and Price, held on till the close of play.
Last vote finishes became all the rage, and Collingwood's Len Thompson took the Brownlow from Melbourne's Greg Wells. Carlton appointed John Nichols captain coach to succeed Barassi, and Big Nick didn't let the side down. In the highest scoring grand final in history, the Blues kicked 28 goals 9, 177, yet still only won by 27 points.
Comes in now towards goal. Oh! Kevin Hall taking it. Percy Jones, a great game for Hawthorn.
The Hawks may have been down, but Peter Knight certainly wasn't. The year started with George Foreman challenging champion Joe Frazier for the heavyweight title in Kingston, Jamaica. The little champion Hondo Grattan from New South Wales won the $50,000 Inter-Dominion at Harold Park.
In front, he's hanging on narrowly on the rails. Hondo Grattan coming at him, draws level on the line, and Hondo Grattan's got up and won.
Bruce Crampton adopted a dour, machine-like approach to golf and had a facade that was rarely penetrated, yet he became the first Australian to win $1 million.
400 metres
if the public had a favourite in 1973, it was undoubtedly Gunsin, the Gunda Windy Grey.
Higgins riding him confidently. He's drawn away about a length now to Battleground and Aldai Khan, 10 lengths to Lazens. And the mighty Grey from Goonawindi, who's thrilled so many crowds over the last few years in Victoria. Not going to have a lot up his sleeve. He's a length and a quarter in front, but he's going to win it. Battleground and Aldai Khan sticking to him, but Gunsin ridden hard, won by 3/4 of a length to Battleground.
Gunsin retired in April after winning 29 of his 54 starts. For the first time, the winner of the Melbourne Cup received more than $100,000, and what a tussle it turned out to be.
Up to the leader, Gala Supreme going with him. Glengowan, Gala Supreme and Daneson, the three of them. Gala Supreme got his head in front and has won the cup a half head to Glengowan. A neck away third, Daneson, Gold and Sam fourth.
Gregg is still in there.
Sandy-haired winger Keith Gregg took the Brownlow by storm, polling 27 votes, to become the first North Melbourne player to take football's highest individual honour. The earth shook when Carlton powerhouse John Nichols was felled by Richmond's Laurie Fowler, and the Blues never quite recovered. Nearly 117,000 people saw the Tigers get their revenge over Carlton and give Tom Hafey flag number 3.
Let's have another look at it.
Collingwood's Alan Atkinson took the mark of the year with this screamer. To Wembley for the soccer event of the year, and underdog Sunderland got up to snatch the FA Cup final.
So too is Hallam, and Porterfield! Oh, Porterfield has scored! And Sunderland, the underdogs, are in the lead.
When Mike Dinessa's Englishmen arrived in Brisbane, they were confronted with a tornado called Tomo.
Clean bowl by Thompson for 6. Chance, and he's out. Caught by Walters.
Caught by Walters at third slip.
First innings century maker Tony Gregg in the famous sand shoe ball.
Oh, bowled him. Yorked him, leg stump. And the jubilation from the Australian team.
On the last ball of the day in Perth, Doug Walters needed a boundary to bring up his 100 in a session.
Walters' century. In fact, it's almost a 6. It is a 6 after last ball of the day.
Yugoslav Raul Razek took the Socceroos to their first World Cup appearance in West Germany. The Australians took on the best soccer players in the world and handled themselves admirably. While they didn't win, they did at least manage to draw from 3 games and add enormous prestige to the sport throughout the nation. Leilani made racing history on Caulfield Cup Day when she started at 9 to 4, the shortest price for a mare in the race's history.
The Bonnie mare is going to win by 4 lengths. Broadway hit flashing up for second. Turf Cutter third.
And on Melbourne Cup Day, Leilani looked set for the Cup's double.
Leilani's under the whip. Then on the outside, Captain Peary running on from wider out Lord Medrick. Battle Heights 2 lengths in front of the 200. Leilani's grabbing him quickly. Battle Heights only a neck. Leilani's grabbed it. Captain Perry, and here's Think Big might beat them all. Think Big flying home, race to Leilani, and Think Big's won it. Second placing Leilani, maybe Captain Perry third, ahead in front of Lord Metric and Piping Lane.
Hey, Greg North Melbourne.
He's won it again. Greg has won it with 27 votes.
Richmond's success continued in 1974, and Hafey took the Tigers to another premiership. This time it was against North Melbourne, the rising youth horse in league football.
North defenders. Now there's enthusiasm for you. Well done, Tigers. Well done.
Collingwood centre halfback Billy Picken took the honours with this magnificent mark. Muhammad Ali travelled to the African city of Kinshasa in Zaire for a fateful showdown with heavyweight title holder George Foreman.
Sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand. This time he worked over the shoulder of Foreman.
Foreman succumbed to the heat and the fists of Ali at 4 o'clock in the morning Zaire time, and once again the great man was heavyweight champion of the world. Over the entire 25 years, television viewers have thrilled to one of the world's great blue water classics, the Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. In 1975, 7 had cameras aboard the yachts to bring the colour, the loneliness and the drama of the race into your living rooms. The Marlborough Australian Open at Kooyong was highlighted by one of the finest men's singles finals of all time. John Newcombe, the crowd's idol, battled US and Wimbledon champion Jimmy Connors. It was to be Nuke in 4. Ian Chappell took Australia to great heights in the 70s. In 1975, he captained Australia to the final of the World Cup, helped regain the Ashes, and at the Oval this day scored 192 against England.
An easy catch for Gregg, and Chappell out for 192, his second highest test score.
It was a tearful win for Gary Dempsey in the Brownlow. The Footscray ruckman's career looked in doubt when he was badly burned in the Lara bushfires in 1969, but he came back to be the most effective ruckman of the decade.
1975 Brownlow medal to Gary Dempsey.
There were tears of joy at the MCG too when North Melbourne won its first VFL premiership after a 50-year wait. The club had hired master coach Ron Barassi, built its side around a nucleus of costly and experienced players, and then reaped the benefits. The mark of the year, and once again the honours went to Peter Knights. And on Melbourne Cup Day, Think Big was going for 2 in a row.
Followed by Holiday Wagon. It's Think Big taking the lead in the Cup. He's drawn a length in front of Medici. Holiday Wagon next. Suleiman can't go on. But Captain Peary's running on well, but Think Big is in front. And Think Big's going to win it 2 years in succession. A length to Holiday Wagon. Very close for third, Medici or Suleiman from Captain Peary.
The Montreal Olympics began with much promise for Australia, but were to provide our greatest disappointment since the Games resumed in 1896. Australia's lack of financial backing and top-class international competition was reflected in a medal tally of 1 silver and 4 bronze. For flag bearer and veteran Raylene Boyle, it was to be a personal disaster.
What a great Australian she is.
This was the start of the women's 200-metre semi-final.
Starter held them a long time. In fact, there's a break. The second gun was fired. The starter held them a very long time. This has been the pattern of things here in Montreal.
It was Raylene who had beaten the gun. She'd been a favourite in the event and had recorded the second fastest time in the heats.
And they're called up to the start once again. From the inside, Boyle, Helton, Prorochenko, Cummings, Sticker, Armstrong, Bodendorf, and Bailey. Bailey on the left, Boyle on the right on the inside lane. On their marks. Raylene Boyle broke that time.
Those 2 breaks ended her dream of gold, a dream that had begun with silver at Mexico City, had followed her to Munich and more silver, and was then demolished with that flagrant break at Montreal. The outstanding performances of the Games came from men from opposite sides of the globe. Finland's Lasse Viren.
Peggy back, Viren just in front, he's too strong, he's got a metre in front, and Viren of Finland's going to win it. It's Prex of New Zealand second. Oh, Hildebrand of West Germany fell, but I think he just got third in front of Dixon of New Zealand. There he is, Lasse Viren of Finland, the winner of the 5,000 metres, and a dual gold medalist at 2 Olympics in succession.
And Alberto Juan Torino of Cuba.
But it's Newhouse of the United States who leads into the straight. Newhouse leading from Juan Torima, but the big Cuban is much too strong. Juan Torima coming to the line. He's finding it a bit of a struggle, but he's going to win. Juan Torima first, Newhouse second, Frazier third, and Juan Torima of Cuba, the first man in Olympic history to win both the 400 and 800 metres.
From the surging power of the runners to the grace and beauty of the women's gymnastics, and a lithe young beauty named Nadia Comăneci of Romania. This routine earned her the maximum 10 points and was to help carry her to 3 gold medals in one of the great individual performances of the Games. Nadia Comăneci.
Fairest and best
Graham Moss played only 4 seasons with Essendon, yet managed to win the Brownlow, finished 2nd, 3rd and 10th. A spell of sustained football excellence.
Very well in front of him.
For the 3rd year in a row, North made the grand final, but in 1976 the Kangaroos were no match for John Kennedy's supercharged Hawks.
Players, and the ball forced over the line. Oh, it's on again. Hand pass, is it? No, he's gone for a hand pass to Feltham. Now it's a dangerous one. Scott's got his gun for the goals. Having a go. There's Lethal Lee going for a shot at goals. He doesn't miss. Immediately the siren goes. Hawthorn have won it. Hawthorn have won the 1976 grand final.
The mark of the year, Collingwood's Billy Picken. The centenary test match between Australia and England at the MCG, and Rick McCosker's jaw is broken by this ball from Bob Willis.
So Rodney Marsh became the first ever Australian wicketkeeper to make a century against England. The bowler, Bob Willis, gave him rather perfunctory congratulations. The crowd were delirious.
Greg Chappell to Derek Randall, and the little Englishman is given out caught behind. As Randall walked from the wicket, Marsh and Ray Bright indicated that the ball hadn't carried and that Randall should be allowed to continue his innings. He did just that, and scored 174 runs to be the player of the match. It was typical of the spirit of the match, one that was to end in victory for Australia, thanks to a spectacular bowling performance from Dennis Lilly.
Derek Underwood, Lilly the bowler. Clean bowl, 9 for 410. The last pair at the wicket, Alan Knott hit out lustily, before this delivery. Leg before is the decision.
One of the outstanding youngsters in racing history, Luskin Star was to win the Triple Crown for 2-year-olds, and by an aggregate margin of 16 lengths.
And Luskin Star is going to win pulling up. Lloyd Boyle get up for second, but a very, very impressive win by Luskin Star is won by 6 lengths.
It was the type of determination that Sydney-born Heather Mackay had been showing for more than a decade. The world's greatest ever women's squash player, Heather was unbeaten for 18 years and suffered only 2 losses in her entire career. Rejected by Richmond, bearded ruckman Graham Teasdale went lakeside to South Melbourne and took the place by storm. His marking and ruck power pushed South into the finals for the 2nd time since the war, and the Brownlow was his personal reward.
Not a very good
The ruler of the skies in 1977 was St Kilda's Trevor Barker.
Oh, ripper! Baker.
In Melbourne and Sydney, football fans were kept on the edge of their seats as both the VFL and Rugby League grand finals finished with scores level. At the MCG, it was North Melbourne and Collingwood, and a beanpole named Twiggy Dunn.
Twiggy Dunn, I think, has got it. Meters out from goal. And look at those North Melbourne players on the mark. Well, the pressure on this veteran from Collingwood, played over 200 games, fires for the goals. And he's put it through and scores at that level. Now as the ball comes down here. Good play by Tanner as he clears. He's been a real match winner since half-time. And there's the ball. Just Tanner showing a lot of confidence, running away from his Collingwood opponents. Here towards Max Ritson, picked up by a little ball. He's going for a run. Can you get it down there in time? There's the signal, I think, for the end of the game. It's a draw. It's a draw. It's saved by Collingwood to come back in that final stage because it looked as though they were gone beyond recall. Look, there's a bit of a fight going on. Little Keenan's doing. Someone should tell them the game's over. It's not worth getting yourself knocked out about.
Cricket underwent a revolution in the summer of 1977-78 with the advent of World Series cricket. While the Packer Circus, as it came to be known, had all the stars, the establishment team under Bobby Simpson took on and beat the Indians 3-2. While Jeff Thompson remained faithful and Bobby Simpson stepped back into the Test arena after 10 years, cricket was never to be the same again. Yellow helmets, microphones embedded behind the stumps, mass commercialisation, and the wrath of the established cricket world were just some of the results of the World Series intrusion into the game. On the brighter side, players were to receive a better deal, and night cricket was introduced.
And that's it. An ambitious shot by Bright.
Like Heather Mackay, Australia's Jeff Hunt went from strength to strength on the squash courts of the world.
And that's it. And Jeff Hunt wins his 5th British Open Squash Championship.
The televised coverage of snooker had led to the game's re-emergence, and in 1978, Australia's Eddie Charlton was the best player in the world.
A very thoughtful and disturbed Canadian champion.
For the 2nd year in a row, Sweden's Iceman Bjorn Borg captured Wimbledon, defeating Jimmy Connors in one of the great finals in the tournament's history over 5 sets. Ken Warby became the fastest man on water when his Spirit of Australia reached 464 kilometres per hour.
R1 gets the split.
And on Melbourne Cup Day, it was R1.
Now with Carew the outside. R1 just the leader. Carew trying to peg him back from Boldness, then So-Called and Dandelieth. But it's R1 in front near the cup. Dandelieth getting through in the centre, but R1 the outside has won the cup about a neck to Dandelieth. A neck away third, Carew fourth, Boldness.
Malcolm Blight had won a Magarey medal in South Australia before North Melbourne lured him over to Arden Street, and he became the first South Australian to win the Brownlow and his own state's medal. For North, however, the season wasn't to end on such a bright note. The Roos under Barassi made the grand final for the 6th year in a row, but this year were to go down to old rivals Hawthorn by 3 goals.
Deep into attack for Hawthorn. Knights breaks away. He's going to have a shot to goal. I think Peter Landy, and that should make it up. There it is. Hawthorn are previous in 1978.
A giant mark from a giant of a man, Collingwood's Peter Moore. Mike Brearley's English tourists made their mark over the summer, as Rick Darling found to his extreme discomfort.
And that's hit him. That's the 2nd time we've seen that from Darling. It happened in Perth, and Darling is down. That one cut back a long way from the pitch, and they're calling straight away for something to assist him out there.
The Englishman won 5 of the 6 tests against Graham Yallop's Australians with play like this.
And almost a wicket, is it? Yes, he's out. Yes, he's out.
Next to go was Hughes. Caught Gooch, bowled Embury for 7, with the score 2 for 28.
He's out. Yes, he's out caught.
Then Wood skied a drive off Miller and was out caught Willis for 29.
Fitzroy's Gary Wilson was overwhelming favourite to take the Brownlow, but it was to be Collingwood's Peter Moore by a single vote.
Playing his 100th game today, and that's Peter Moore.
A long kick by...
The decade ended as it started, with football's oldest rivals, Carlton and Collingwood, fighting for the flag. And as happened in 1970, Collingwood relinquished a strong lead and its chances. For Alex Jesaulenko, the Blues captain and coach, it was to be his finest moment and his last appearance with the club.
He's pursued by Brewer, but he can't catch him. Harms fires at the goals, but he's off target. It's rolling towards the boundary line, and Harms almost makes ground. He taps it back to Sheldon, and it's a goal!
And there's Alex Jesaulenko, and he did a marvellous job today.
While St Kilda floundered, superstar Trevor Barker had his head in the clouds. Bjorn Borg turned 23 on the way to winning the French title for the 4th time in 6 years, and at Wimbledon took on the 140-mile-per-hour serve of Roscoe Tanner. Again, it was one of the greatest finals ever seen, with Tanner extending Borg to 5 glorious sets and Borg extending his run of titles to 3. Perhaps it should have been the crowd who went down on their knees after the match in gratitude for the delight of witnessing tennis at its most excellent.
Raced to the lead in
the broad grip on Wimbledon was vice-like, and so it seemed was Bart Cummings' grip on the Melbourne Cup. In 1979, he prepared High Perno.
But he's left it very late. Halberg just the leader at the 300. Tackled by Red Nose Salamander, and on the outside is High Perno. Here's Cubicade with a powerful run from Warri Symbol. It's Red Nose and Salamander together at the 200. On the outside, High Perno and Salamander going stride for stride from Red Nose. Salamander ahead in front. High Perno's grabbing him. They go to the post together. High Perno, if anything's won at a nose to Salamander. Third Red Nose from Cubicade, Halberg, Warri Symbol, Magistrate, Carew never got into it till the finish.
Oh, it couldn't be, but it is.
Sport has its unusual moments, from the sublime of the hole-in-one to the ridiculous. Cricket's war came to an end, and things resumed much the same as they left off.
He's out. Hold on. We've got an excellent piece of bowling by Dennis Lilly this morning.
Victim number 2 for Lilly, Derek Underwood, on his way for 3.
And that's out, fumbled and caught by Ian Chappell, not getting the ball cleanly.
And victim number 3 for Dennis Lilly and his 200th test wicket, John Lever.
Yes, that is the old con trick. And
lovely piece of thinking there by Dennis Lilly. It's his 200th wicket in Test cricket.
England came to Frankston in Victoria, favourite for the World's Bowls Championship, and didn't let its fans down. The English team won the Leonard Trophy for the overall competition from Australia. If they had one man to thank, it was the world's best bowler, David Bryant, who again proved his brilliance by winning the individual honours in the singles. The Scottish FA Cup final between Celtics and Rangers was a battle from the outset.
McCluskey got the touch from that shot. There was a deflection.
So the cup went to Celtic, leaving Rangers without any trophy this season. The supporters' celebrations soon turned to violence as they began to fight on the pitch and the police had to separate.
It does seem to me pathetic, scandalous and disgraceful, and this should have been allowed to happen.
And at Wimbledon, who should have been there but Bjorn Borg? This time matched against super brat John McEnroe.
The end of an epic final and the 5th consecutive title for Borg, 1-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-7, 8-6. To the victor, the spoils, a gold cup and £20,000. But for Borg, this memorable final means much more. He stands higher than any other player in the history of modern tennis.
For Australia, it was to be a memorable fortnight. In the doubles final, Melbourne's Supermax defeated America's Bob Lutz and Stan Smith to record their greatest victory. But it was the women's singles final that gave Australians the most satisfaction. Yvonne Cawley returned to the scene of her 1971 triumph to defeat Chris Evert-Lloyd.
Among the many statistics one can draw from, Mrs. Cawley is the first mother to win at Wimbledon in more than 60 years.
From Wimbledon to a little town at the bottom of Whiteface Mountain in the Adirondacks. Lake Placid played host to the 1980 Winter Olympics, and for the first time, the 7 Network brought you a full and exclusive coverage of the games. They were to provide a dramatic prelude to the Summer Games in Moscow. There was grace and beauty on ice. We saw Eric Heiden scoop gold by the armful, and war at ice level when the Russians took on and lost to the USA at ice hockey.
Well, a very
But basically, they were games of emotion.
It was the first gold medal in figure skating ever won by her nation of 17 million people. Coming out of the Omega now, this is the last curve. Oh, what a spill! Down he goes, Hans Rin, our second bad spill. Remza, the Soviet man down, and now Rin of East Germany is spilled and nearly went off the track by himself. Watch it now, Hans Rin. Let's see how he got into trouble.
Kurt, he's doing pretty well in the early part of 12. He looks all right, but he's coming out too early. He's coming out too early, hit the wall on the left-hand side.
There it is. He hit that wall, throws him up, as you can see. Now he nearly went over the railing and out.
And Eric Heiden running well. Coming down off the turn on the inner. And here he comes. Powerful man driving across the finish line. The time is 1:15.18. That is a new Olympic record.
The U.S. team is depending a little bit too much now on Jim Craig. He's making too many good saves.
Eruzione!
Mike Eruzione! Scrapping for it again. Gets it out in front.
And then Finland for the gold.
Skating in the shot. The reset, they score! The crowd going insane at the moment. Bedlam in here, stomping. 5 seconds to the gold medal, 4 to the gold medal. This impossible dream comes true.
Australia, of course, is one now of only 3 nations to have competed in all games of the modern era. Britain and Greece are the other 2. The Americans missing on this occasion because of their boycott action, and that's the first Olympics in which they have not competed.
Despite strong opposition from the federal government, Australia and the 7 Network went behind the Iron Curtain for the Moscow Olympics.
Here's a chance for Australia's first medal at these 1980 Olympic Games. The East German pair are in front, Giesler and Shenrock. Michelle Ford splitting them. She could beat Pollock for 3rd place. Who's going to win the gold? It's so close. Lane 5. Lane 5 has got the gold medal. That's Ins Giesler. 2nd place has gone to Shenrock from East Germany, and Australia's Michelle Ford has captured the bronze medal in 2:11.66.
Michelle, what's it like to see that Australian flag up there above the stadium for the first time?
Oh, great. I hope it's up higher next time.
With a couple more opportunities for you to do it?
Oh, yeah, this was my hardest one to get, and I mean, I don't even believe I've got a medal.
What? Come on. What is... Are they tears of joy? Of course they are.
I just can't believe it.
Has a very powerful...
Australia's great hopes for glory continued to be in the Olympic pool. This was Graham Brewer.
Very, very hard indeed. Worth is fading out of it. Krylov is moving into 2nd place. It's going to be a bronze medal, perhaps, yes, for Graham Brewer. This is a devastating...
In the 1500, it was Max Metzger.
Vladimir Salnikov coming down now.
5 seconds to go.
There it is. He smashed the 15-minute barrier. Vladimir Salnikov, the first man ever. Max Metzger, look at this finish. Look at this finish. Max Metzger could take a silver medal.
Come on, Max.
It could be a silver medal for Max Metzger. Look at this finish. Metzger at the top of the screen. He's coming into touch now.
Oh,
he's touched in 3rd place.
He's got a bronze medal.
Just is coming through strongly in lane.
Peter Evans gave a preview of things to come in the 100 metres breaststroke.
Goodhue of Great Britain just in front under strong challenge from Evans of Australia at the top of the screen in the yellow cap. Goodhue touches first. It's a bronze medal. It's a bronze medal for Evans of Australia. They were split, Goodhue and Evans, by lane 3. That's Miskarov of the Soviet Union.
Neil Brooks has got to hold up.
And this was gold.
It's going to be a great race.
Neil Brooks is in front in the yellow cap for Australia, ahead of Koplikov from the Soviet Union. This could be the gold medal for Australia.
It looks like it could be good. He's pulling away. He's pulling away.
Neil going down. Neil Brooks in front of Koplikov.
He's won.
Lane 5 for Australia. 3 minutes, 45.7. Neil Brooks has touched in front. And it's a gold medal for Australia.
Stadium, the clash of giants Sebastian Coe and countryman Steve Ovett. Bill Collins takes up the call.
In the blue. Now Ovett's getting clear. He's gone into 2nd place. He's gone away. Coe's moving, but he's wide and he's 4 metres behind him. Kirov in front with 120 to go. Coe's got his measure. Goomer is struggling on. Here's Coe down the outside. Ovett goes to Kirov. Goomer is 3rd. Coe, I don't think he'll even get the silver. It's Ovett in front, drawing away from Kirov. Now Coe is running on, but as they go down to the line, a great win to Ovett. Coe has got up the run 2nd in front of Kirov. Goomer is 3rd, but 200 to go.
And the 1500 metres final was just as thrilling.
Ovett's trying to put the pressure on. Coe and Ovett are going now. Coe's got the leader. Ovett pulling out, then Busse. Coe takes the lead, looks over his shoulder. Ovett's not waving to the crowd today. Coe's in front. Ovett coming at him, but Coe's holding him. And it's Coe of Great Britain.
his last home, and a different race, a different performance, and a different result. Mitchell is not doing well at the moment.
Australia's track hopes lay with Melbourne's Rick Mitchell in the 400 metres.
In the straight, I don't think Rick can win. Breidenbach's gone through to take the lead with Schaefer. Schaefer out wide in front of Breidenbach. Mitchell running hard, but it'll be too late. It's Martin. Martin in front. Mitchell's coming home hard, but Martin's won it. Mitchell might have got second and Schaefer third.
Here comes the finishing line.
It was a silver in the canoeing to John Samigi.
Very, very close. It's going to be Parfenovic first. Samigi second. He's got the silver medal, and Diva of Romania has come in third. Mark Kerry's coming, but I think he's left it too late and will probably grab the bronze position.
The question is, can he hang on for the bronze medal? It's still Sandor Vladar in lane 4, narrowly in front of his fellow countryman Verazzo. Mark Kerry's going to hang on for third, I think, but it's Vladar going into touch for the gold medal. Verazzo takes the silver, and Mark Kerry of Australia has taken the bronze medal. But coming
bronze to Mark Kerry. But Australia's only individual gold went to Michelle Ford in the 800 metres freestyle.
She's deserved every stroke that she's taken and every victory that she's going to get out of this event. She's swum her own race, had her own technique all the way, and was making sure that she was in charge of the race, dictated the tactics of the event, and has now gone on to win comfortably.
In a new Olympic record time, it's going to be, I feel, for Michelle Ford. Yes, it is, in 8:28.9. Inns Diaz comes in second, then Heike Dahn fills third place. What a great performance by Australia's Michelle Ford.
The first 3 laps were nice and smooth, nice and controlled, and made sure that everything worked exactly the way it should go.
In the living tapestry.
And so the games came to an end. For Australia's Alan Jones, the gold was of a more tangible kind in 1980. The world's driving champion notched Grand Prix victories around the world to emulate Sir Jack Brabham's feats of the 50s and 60s. At Bathurst, viewers got a bird's-eye view from the driver's seat as the big touring cars tackled the arduous Mount Panorama layout at Bathurst.
There on the inside. Now they swing back for the completion of the first lap. Okay, split screen down through the gears as they make the left-hander that brings them up mountain straight out of the turn.
Kelvin Templeton kicked 100 goals in 1979, and in 1980 became the first key forward ever to win the Charles Brownlow Medal. It was one of the most acclaimed wins in the medal's 56-year history. For Kevin Bartlett, the longest-serving player in VFL history, grand final day was to bring undreamt-of rewards. He kicked a record-equaling 7 goals and was judged best of field in Richmond's record 81-point win over Collingwood.
Going for goal number 7. What's the result?
There's the siren. Richmond have won their first premiership since 1974.
Bruce Monteith.
It really didn't matter.
India toured Australia, and skipper Greg Chappell again outlined his superiority.
Beats the square leg, 4 runs. Greg Chappell scoring 32 runs off his last 13 balls, and that's tremendous entertainment.
Then what everyone was waiting for, Greg Chappell's double century.
Yeah.
And there it is, a double century to Greg Chappell. He'll only take the single, and what a great innings it's been.
John McEnroe went to Wimbledon to end Bjorn Borg's run of successive Wimbledon finals, and did just that in a thriller.
That's it. He's won it. He's won it.
Australia, thanks to fine bowling by newcomer Terry Alderman and veteran Dennis Lillee, looked like regaining the Ashes early in the series against England.
Alderman had now equalled Lillee's record for the number of test wickets in England. Embury's batting helped win the 4th test at Edgbaston, but he couldn't repeat the performance today.
But then, along came Ian Botham, and the deposed skipper put together 3 man-of-the-match performances in a row.
And Botham, scoring a helmet, turned his attention to Dennis Lillee. It doesn't matter where you place the field if the ball's hit into the stands. In 1 over, he struck the great Dennis Lilly for 18 runs. Alderman had taken 8 wickets in the match before Botham came in. He didn't worry the man who was out first ball in the first innings. And typically, he reached his century with a 6. 5 sixes and 11 fours, and the 100 of 86 balls had taken 104 minutes.
While Australia saluted its cricketers, football players, tennis stars and golfers, they continued to acclaim the feats of the world's best squash player, Jeff Hunt. Hunt went to England this year in quest of a record-breaking 8 British Open wins.
8 wins in the British Open. The record is his, the prize is his, and the crowd acclaim a superb victory.